I started collecting insulators sort of when I was probably about 8 years old. My pastor had me over at his house because his one son was my best friend. So we went downstairs and I see all these funny looking little glass things up in the rafters up and along his basement. So that's where I learned what they were, and he gave me a brown porcelain toll that day. And I mean, I was just totally thrilled. I used to walk the tracks all the time, all my life, you know, looking for them. Besides that, I've got a disability now, but was an avid hunter, survival camper, fisherman, that kind of thing, an outdoorsman a lot. I spent a lot of time as a kid on the tracks, and one thing that was really neat I found out later, and I like to shoot myself for, is that the Spiral Groove, Brookfield, the 147s, okay? I found a bunch that said Pat Appled for, which is patent applied for, okay, obviously. And because I knew I had several of these at the house, we just like exploding them, hitting them on the side of the rails, watch them, you know, blow up in the middle, you know. Well, then come to find out 20-some years later, there's only a handful of those known. It turns out that's where they were used, you know, so, but that's my horror story from being a kid with insulators. Growing up in high school, I was really avidly collecting them, and near the Erie Airport, I once found a really odd-looking yellowish, greenish beehive, okay? When I got ready to go to college, I just packed all my insulators up and I put them all in a box. Okay, well, the beehive comes into the story later. Graduating from college, having a family, you know, this sort of thing, and eventually I got on the internet in 1998 for the first time, and I had never heard of a search engine, you know, so I just type in insulators.com. Well, boom, my whole world changed. I found out there was an organized hobby. Well, so then I started going back out to the places I had as a kid. And I found some more of these insulators I found 3.5 more of the yellow-green ones. It turns out, long story short, they were pea soup green HG petticoat beehives. So I went to Alan Stastny's backyard hog roast, and I remember I had one in my hand, and I recognized Bob Starr because he had just been on a Crown Jewels cover. Okay, so here I am meeting a celebrity, you know, to me, you know, Bob, and I just remember handing him one. I said, "Hey, can you come to the van here for a minute? I got something I want you to look at." So he took it, and all I remember him doing is he took it in his hand and he stared at it like this, and I'm thinking, okay, say something or something, you know. He's just staring, and I said, "Well," and he just looked. He says, "That's a really hard color." Later, they told me I should take him to a national. Well, what really totally blew me away was I walk into the 1998 National down in Williamsburg, and I got in the door, and I had this little carton I was carrying him. You could see them there, okay? And I walk in the door, and this guy looks at me and goes, "You must be Lee Brewer. Can I see those?" It's like, how in the world would anybody know my name, you know, for doing that? So wherever I walked on the floor, the dealers coming out from behind their things looking, they'd never seen three together before, you know? So Bill Meyer, the day I meet him, okay, he walks up to me, pulls one out of my little container there and looks at me and goes, "I'll give you an awful lot of money," okay? And it was my turn to be speechless. He said to me, "Oh, well, don't worry, you don't have to, you know, that offer's good for whenever." It's like he was thinking I was thinking over whether, and no, I was just stunned, totally stunned. So there I was on the floor of the National Insulator Show, and I could afford anything that was on the show that caught my fancy. And that was my first Maine Nationals. When I got home, I pull out this little purple pony, all right, put it on the table and said, "Beautiful piece of purple glass." I said, "And it's only $30. And they're like, $30 for a piece of glass. Okay, you know. I pull out a G&W Telco Royal Purple Beehive. This is only $70. $70, or this guy's gone off the deep end. Pull out a Cobalt Blue Hemingway Signal. This is only $350. $300. I started laying $100 bills on the table like this after that. And I said to them, and that's for just one of the ones I sold. From then on, my family was always, whenever they see an insulator, whenever they find you, they just right away, "Lee, what is this?" You know, I was getting insulators from everybody. My dad started taking me out insulator hunting, you know, stuff like this. So it was just really, really a lot of fun. And the hobby dubbed me the CD 145 Pea Soup Man. That was my eBay name back then. I was one of 3 sellers on eBay. So I would go to a show, and whatever I bought, I could double, triple, quadruple my money. And of course, these are my friends. You know, I'm buying from. I remember once going to Jeff Ketchko, and I like spent $2,000 at his table. I said, Jeff, you know I'm going to turn around and make $4,000 on this. He goes, yeah, but you've got a computer. I don't, so go for it. Most of us, when life gets in the way, okay, we tend to set the hobby aside, okay? I do not doubt there are some that will be or have returned to it. It's all been fun. It hasn't been a day of work. It's all just been fun. So, and that's all I ever really did it for, fun and sharing, you know. Get to a show. Until you've been to a show, you do not appreciate what's out there. Don't be afraid to talk to people behind the tables, because when you get to know those people, you become a part of the Insulator family. You get to meet new people. You get some good friends out of that. And what I love is the Insulator hobby is open enough that we can do that with one another. We have so many friends. You know, it has changed my life totally because of getting involved.